Okay, actually, we should probably get a motion to come out of executive session. Oh, I didn't hear it, okay. So we are out of executive session, and for the public, we did open and went into executive session on some contract and negotiations and also personnel issues. So we have called the roll, everybody's still here, and at this point, we will kick off the regular meeting. All right, let the record show that Dr. Blundy did join us since the original roll was taken. So adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by mailing copies of said notice to the record, filing copies of said notice with the municipal clerks of Hillsdale, Montvale, Rivervale, and Woodcliff Lake, and publishing said notice in the record on July 21st, 2023. As I mentioned, we went into executive session. And I guess we're up to routine matters. Somebody keep me honest. So monthly reports. Ginny, would you like to give a report from the NJB School Boards Association?
Sure. So I attended the NJSBA, the School Boards Association workshop in Atlantic City from Monday the 23rd to Thursday the 26th. And it was me, Sarah, Yas was there, Paul, Robert, Donahue, and Debbie. And did I miss anyone? I didn't miss anyone. Okay. So we all went, and the first session that I did was about leadership, and that we as elected board members are all leaders. But leadership is not about a title, and true leadership is not awarded, appointed, or assigned, and that trust is a foundation of leadership, and in order to build trust, one should exhibit competence, connection, and character. And I have to say, I've never attended one of these workshops. I think, Joe, you have, right?
I went a couple times.
You did?
Yeah.
Have you been, Jim?
No.
Yeah, so I really, really learned a lot, and it was really interesting. I honestly did not think it was going to be this interesting, but it was really cool to learn a lot of things there. So I attended some sessions on ethics, which was really cool because we all agree to the code of ethics when we start a new term. If you had asked me before this conference what they were, I would not really, I wouldn't be able to spit it out to you, and not that I can spit it out now, but it was great to get a deeper dive into that because it's not so black and white, right? So, so that was really interesting. I learned about Robert's rules. Robert's rules, how do you know Robert's rules? Oh. So I had no idea what Robert's rules were. So you see, I learned a lot. My learning curve was really high. So I didn't know what it was, but it's rules that help conduct meetings in a minimum amount of time while still addressing the necessary issues, while also hearing every member's viewpoint, which I really appreciate that part because while we all share a desire for harmony, striving simply for harmony can lead to suppression of dissenting opinions and alternate viewpoints. And I really appreciate that about us because we all really listen to each other and really consider each other's viewpoints. My last session was about board governance, which I think was sort of my favorite topic of it because I think that it's really important, right? So I learned a lot about our district from listening to other districts and what they do with their governance. So some boards have new member orientation, a board governance handbook, board norms, and a governance committee. And I was like, wow, there's all these things that we could do and that I never knew about. So they also asked us to rate our boards functioning on a scale of 0 to 10. And there were so many 4s or 5s. And I don't believe in a perfect score. I think saying a 10 means you have no room for growth or improvement. So I rated us an 8. I was like, well, we function pretty well as a group. So I think because we function so well, there are more nuanced changes that we can implement to bring us up to a 9. So even that, like, we're not going to jump from an 8 to a 10, but like we can go from an 8 to a 9. So in my opinion, working on adding some of the governance to the board would elevate us even further. And just a few pearls to finish up. So consensus on a board looks like this. It's not, hey, everyone agrees about every decision. It's, I may not be 100% in agreement, but we've compromised and listened to each other. And I can live with this decision. So, the board should have one voice. So I appreciated that. I also learned that professional development for the board is as important as it is for staff. So it would be great for our board to be represented each year at the workshop if possible, which I do understand, we all have our jobs and things like that too, so that can make it difficult. And the board retreat, some districts have quarterly retreats, which I think is a lot, and I don't think we need quarterly retreats. But I would love to see us get more out of our one retreat that we do have, like more ideas for, like, hey, what we want to do and those kind of things. And then the most important statement that I left with was, at the end of every board or committee meeting, did we do things to benefit children? So, thank you.
Thank you, that was great. Any questions for Jenny? Yes, thank you for bringing that report. We have student reports tonight. Olivia from Pascack Hills.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Olivia G., and I will be presenting the Pascack Hills Student Report for the month of October. For the co-curricular item number 1, PH Cares Club walked in the local Out of the Darkness event hosted by the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, AFSP, recently. They were able to raise $1,020 for the AFSP and a pending donation of $100 from a corporate match. For co-curricular item number 2, social studies teacher Christopher Balk and student president of the History Club, Paige Giannopoulos, were interviewed by the community television and digital media show Montvale in Motion. The interview highlighted the work done by the History Club and their community involvement, including special events, Memorial Day ceremonies, and guest speakers. And for the last co-curricular item, the Pascack players, cast, and crew are preparing for the opening night of She Kills Monsters on November 2nd, spanning until November 5th. Tickets are now on sale for students, staff, and community members. And for the athletic item number 1, on October 11th in the game against Ridgefield Park, Mika Jarvis set a new record, being the first student in Hills volleyball history to reach 1,000 assists. Congratulations, Mika. For athletic item number 2, volleyball had a big win in the first round of the state tournament on Friday. The Broncos won in straight sets, winning both sets 25 to 13. They will play at Riverdale in the sectional quarterfinals on Wednesday. And for the last athletic item, Hills football made it to the SFC Ivy playoff semifinals, but were unfortunately defeated. Still, they finished the season 7-2, so congratulations. And for the academic awards, AP Scholars and National Merit students were recently announced. They've worked hard to achieve their academic goal and have demonstrated exceptional dedication and excellence in their studies. They have gone above and beyond by tackling college-level coursework. They've shown a dedication to learning and a willingness to challenge themselves academically. AP Scholars succeeded in multiple advanced placement AP courses and exams, proving their mastery of complex subject matter and their readiness for college-level academics. National Merit students have distinguished themselves on a national scale by scoring exceptionally well on the PSAT/NMSQT, the preliminary SAT/National Merit Scholarship qualifying test. Congratulations to all of these students. And for my joke of the day, what does a nosy pepper do? It gets jalapeno business. Thank you so much.
Good evening. My name's Ella Goclay. Maddie Gibbs couldn't be here tonight, so I'm just filling in for her. Um, so I will be giving the October 2023 student report for Pascack Valley. Starting off with our classroom items. First, Dr. Jinta presented to Mr. Jasper's AP Gov and Mr. Sarajian's U.S. History 2 classes on the Israeli situation with Hamas and the Gaza Strip. His knowledge and his delivery were exemplary. The students asked many questions about the current crisis. Principal Puccio joined us and added to the discussion with many great questions. Of course, there are no easy solutions, but having someone with Dr. Jinta's extensive background was not only a history lesson, but also insightful about global issues. And for the second item, the NHS will be running its annual Thanksgiving food drive from November 1st to November 17th. We are committed to feeding 12 local families, so any food or monetary donations are welcome. People interested in donating can contact Mrs. Santo for a list of the needed items. For our co-curricular items, first, the Environmental Club hosted a costume drive where we collected gently used costumes from students and the community and then donated them to students at Meadowbrook's Harvest Festival on October 19th. Over 45 costumes will now be worn again. For item number 2, the PV Network, Peer Leaders, and NHS sold pink PV t-shirts to raise funds and awareness for a local breast cancer foundation, Spoil Me Pink. The foundation gives survivors of breast cancer and those currently fighting the disease a day of pampering and beauty. This amazing organization was founded by Mrs. Jennifer Arity, our very own district community internship facilitator. Many of our teachers, support staff, and parents have benefited from this amazing charity. Our clubs raised over $2,300 to help support Spoil Me Pink and the wonderful things that they do for others. For item number 3, members of the PV Network donated their time and resources to volunteer at Josephine's Gardens annual luncheon at Seasons Catering on October 18th. Josephine's Garden was created by Josephine and her mother, Heidi Rispoli. Josephine lost her battle to brain cancer on October 23, 2011, but not before she was able to share her vision and dream of creating an amazing rooftop garden at Joseph M. Sanzari's Children's Hospital at Hackensack University Medical Center. In addition, the PV Network, Peer Leaders, and the NHS will be hosting a Day of Gold for Josephine's Garden. Students will be selling gold bracelets and collecting donations leading up to November 8th, which is when we ask everyone to wear yellow or gold in support of this wonderful foundation. For the last co-curricular item, the PV Theater is working on their fall play, Peter Wendy by Jeremy Bloom, which is a modern retelling of the classic Peter Pan story. A cast of 27 and a crew of 30 are working hard to create this world and can't wait to share their work with audiences soon. Performances are Thursday, November 16th through Saturday, November 18th, nightly at 7 p.m. with a Saturday matinee at 1 p.m. For Valley's athletic items, first, congratulations to the PV girls soccer team for being named the Big North National Division champions. They also earned the top seed in the state sectional tournament. Congrats to the entire team. Next, congratulations to the Pascack Regional Gymnastics team on being named the NJGL League B champions. Congrats on this remarkable accomplishment. And lastly, congratulations to the PV cross-country runners Patrick Kurtz and Marcus Koshi on placing first and second at the Bergen County Division B cross-country championship race. This is a tremendous achievement for both runners and the team. For my fun fact, the Executive Council hosted Valley Cup #1 with many entertaining events, highlighted by an indoor soccer tournament and tug-of-war contest. In November, the Executive Council will host a fundraiser for Homes for Our Troops, as well as a week devoted to each class council's cause. We look forward to supporting these wonderful causes. And now for my joke. How can you tell if a pig is hot? It's bacon. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have minutes to approve. Is there a motion to approve the September 26th and October 6th minutes?
So moved.
Is there-
Second.
Roll call, please. Oh, any discussion? Roll call.
Dr. Blundy,
Abstain.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Abstain.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese,
Yes for September 26th and abstain for October 6th.
Mr. Blundo,
Abstain from September 26th, yes for October 6th. Okay, this brings us to our first open to the public. A reminder that this open to the public is just for items that are on the agenda. There will be a second item, a second open, which is for any topic whatsoever. Citizens are invited to make comments regarding agenda items and are limited to 3 minutes, according to the Pascack Valley Regional High School District Board of Education policy. Persons wishing to speak must, upon being recognized, rise, sign in, state their name and town of residence, and which agenda item they are referencing. With that said, we are open to the public. Does any member of the public wish to address us? Seeing no hands, I'll close to the public. We have 3 policy items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Blundy,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
I'm going to abstain from 1, but yes for 2 and 3.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese,
Yes.
Mr. Blundo,
Yes. Okay, under education, we have 4 agenda items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Blundy,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese,
Yes.
Mr. Blundo,
Yes. Okay. Under human resources, we have 21 agenda items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Dr. Blundy,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese,
Yes.
Mr. Blundo,
Going to approve everything, but let the record note I will abstain from the last appointment under the volunteers for coaching. Okay. Okay, we're up to finance. We have 28 agenda items. Is there a motion? A second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Dr. Blundy,
Yes.
Ms. Calderon,
Yes.
Mr. Luisi,
Yes.
Mrs. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Stankus,
Yes.
Ms. Steffens,
Yes.
Mrs. Varghese,
Yes.
Mr. Blundo,
Yes. Okay. At this point, I'll ask the trustees if they have any old business they'd like to discuss. Did you want to say anything on that? Okay. No old business? Okay, any new business? Sure.
Just have a couple of things. I just wanted to ask about the school safety. I've heard some things that possibly the doors are being left ajar in the gyms. So if we could just kind of circle back and just make sure that we're making sure those doors are closed, if that is the case.
Absolutely. If you recall, one of the things that we did do last year was lock the front doors, lock all the doors, but lock the front doors during business hours. That was a change. If you come to campus right now and you are dropping off a lunch or, forgotten homework, there's actually bins outside the door. You don't even make it through the man trap. So, this is something that we've been focusing on. I'll send a reminder out to our principals as well, just to make sure. I will say one anomaly here, and something that the public might see and not recognize, is that when our building is being used by outside organizations, they typically are not paying for security, so they might prop the gym doors open. So you might see at 7 o'clock at night a gym door being open. That's not our students. So I did want to kind of just point that out, because that might be something driving by you might see. And that's something, of course, we'd always be open to speaking to the townships about. But that is something that does sometimes happen. And we try to have our custodial staff keep them closed. But there are times where they use the doors to enter and exit. Other than that, the doors should be closed at all hours. So, and I do feel pretty confident that, especially, our front doors and access to the building has been pretty limited, has been pretty restricted, especially over the last 2 years as to where we were several years before that. But I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'll definitely do a survey with our principals.
Okay, great, thank you.
And I would recommend any building use form should say clearly, no doors get propped open.
Yeah,
And reminded when they're granted that access.
yeah.
I understand that it's tough, people are coming and going, but somebody could slip in and stay here overnight and be here when they wake up.
All right.
So,
And then the second thing I have was, I have been coordinating with Jennifer Zimmerman and Christy Rozig. As you know, I do work for the County of Bergen. We have many wonderful programs available to the community and to our schools. And one of them that I happened to sit on was about a week and a half ago with our ADV department, which is a wonderful program, and it's Alternatives to Domestic Violence. And the program that I sat in on was teen dating and violence workshops. And I spoke with Jennifer and Christy actually today, and we're hoping to have the county come in February to do some workshops with the children, especially freshmen and seniors, and also to branch out to the middle schools, and hopefully focusing on those kids that are going to be coming into the high school. So stay tuned for some, more information as we go along in this, but I think this will be a great program for the kids.
any other new business?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. I attended the Best College Fit admission game presentation the other night, and it was really informative. It was a best-selling author, lecturer, Dean of Admission, Peter Van Buskirk, and it was a really great, I think it was about 2 hours. I learned so much about the whole college process. I was really like, just it was wonderful. It was a really, really good presentation. So I was really happy to see that we had something like that. And I think it was pretty well attended. I would have liked to have seen more students there because it was really geared towards the students. But there were a lot of, there were some, but more parents, of course. So I just want to say thank you for that. I thought it was good.
Okay, any other new business? All right, we're going to open to the public again, and this is on any topic, does not have to be an agenda item. Same 3-minute according to policy, and again, please state your name, town you're from, and, town of residence, and please sign in. So we are open to the public. Sir?
Scott Shaw, Riverville. I sent this board a email on October 17th pertaining to the Pascack Valley concession stands. Initially, the stand on, inequality between Pascack Valley and Pascack Hills was more geared towards and related to the booster clubs. Specifically, I was referring to the Gridiron Club. Since receiving some information on open request, it was my understanding that concession stands are ran by the student council, which only really raised my concerns to the fact that Pascack Valley has not been with a concession stand for now over almost 10 years. And that I view that as, the elected members on this board, administration, people that are here that are paid to uphold the district's policy of equality had fostered this injustice of inequality against the entire student body of Pascack Valley. It has not afforded the same luxuries that Pascack Hills has of raising funds for the student council for their various needs, activities, social causes that they want to contribute to. I understand that the district has made provisions back in December of 2013 where it was on a long-range financial plan. It showed up. It was on a construction plan that was presented to this group in 2015 with plans to be completed in 2018. To this date, nothing has happened. So as long as I believe, as I believe the transfer of knowledge from grades and students, the kids in this Pascack Valley today are completely unaware of the opportunity they have that's being lost. And it's concerning to me as a parent who had a student just graduate here a few years ago to now having a sophomore in class, the opportunities that are being lost because of not having this opportunity to raise funds. So, you know, I look back and, you know, there's conversations of food trucks are provided for concessions, but that's not organized by the school. It's actually organized by the Gridiron Club, which is even more concerning because that's money that's raised by the parents for the football team, but yet we turn around and pay for permits to provide that service to not only our students, faculty, people, friends, families watching the game, and also the visitors. So, as I said before in the email, I'm curious what's being done currently to resolve the situation, because to last a decade is somewhat, you know, unheard of in today's time. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Appreciate your feedback. I know the superintendent plans to follow, I think has a meeting with you. I'll be honest, I've been here most of those 10 years, and I don't recall it coming up. I'm sure it did. I'm not saying that it didn't. But I will also say I'm on the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and we'll get feedback from the superintendent, but we'll get it on the agenda of that group. So I appreciate you bringing it up to us publicly.
Yep.
Okay, we are still open to the public, sir?
Hi, good evening. My name is Mike Smith, and my town of residence. Excuse me, sorry. Again, good evening. My name is Mike Smith, and my town of residence is Rivervale. First off, thank you to all those that volunteer their time and effort in and outside this room to improving our school system and providing our children with a top-notch education. I've been a resident of Rivervale for 14 years, and through those years, my twins have attended Woodside, Holdrum, and are now sophomores along Mr. Shaw's son at PV. Throughout most of those years, my boys have participated in town and school sports. I had the privilege of coaching my boys during all those years in football, basketball, baseball, and lacrosse. Although my coaching years are behind me, I now volunteer my time on the sidelines of PV as a photographer and videographer for freshman, JV, and varsity level sports. I'm here this evening in support of Mr. Shaw's call for action regarding a much-needed concession stand at PV. I am not as well versed in policy and or the history of why we don't have one today, but I do share in the disappointment that our kids are not being provided with an equal opportunity to support the teams in the school that they participate on as it's being done here at Pascack Hills. Throughout my years of coaching, especially football, where I was a proud member of the Rivervale Raiders board, we were able to generate thousands upon thousands of dollars every season through our concession stand earnings. This was an intricate part of our fundraising efforts that enable us as a board to not have to ask for more money from the parents through league fees and other additional out-of-pocket costs. And as Mr. Shaw said, providing the student council with the ability to do a lot for their fellow students. Again, I do not fully understand how or why the concession stand has been closed and or condemned for all these years, but I truly believe that this board should make the reopening of it a priority for the students, the players, and the families that proudly call Pascack Valley High School the pride and joy of Hillsdale and Rivervale, New Jersey. Please, let's end this inequality now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We are still open to the public. One last call for any members of the public. Seeing no additional hands, we will close to the public. Okay, we actually are not going to need our second executive session. So at this point, unless any trustee has any other items, we can entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved. Second.
Any objection? Hearing none, we're adjourned.